Today is March 7th, 2025, and 23 years ago, I was born. Sometimes I feel like a broken record when speaking about previous years because I always have to talk about change and how much I've changed and grown as a person. But if we're being honest, this year was rough in so many ways that I didn't show in my videos or online. Moving to a new city is hard, let alone a new state that's thousands of miles away from your family, friends, and familiar surroundings. There were many days and nights where I felt just completely alone and nearly threw in the towel. But now that I've lived in Florida for officially a year, I'm starting to feel more comfortable calling Orlando home. I've learned the important roads, basically to the post office and back, and to Barnes & Noble and back, and can mostly navigate to my daily spots without the use of GPS. And for someone who is notoriously directionally challenged, this feels like a win. For obvious reasons, I got to travel so much this past year. Not only wonderful personal trips, but unexpected work trips as well. I finally got to achieve what feels like a lifelong dream of attending Range's Apprentice Day and finally meeting Rosalie, an online book friend of many years. Being surrounded by people all brought together for their singular love of the Range's Apprentice book series is a feeling unlike any other. I was surrounded by wonderful people this entire trip, and I'm so grateful I got to explore the beautiful country that is the Netherlands, as well as experience Dutch culture. I also got to start 2025 off with a bang by booking a last-minute trip to Japan to visit friends. I didn't think that I was going to be able to visit as soon as I did, but all the pieces fell into place, and the next thing I knew, I was on a plane heading over the Pacific Ocean. Most of my work trips, however, tended to lead me over the Atlantic Ocean or around hurricanes. It's been a year of being a flight attendant, and let's just say the job is not as glamorous as you might think it is. I knew that going into it, and there were still so many crazy situations that I don't think anyone could have been prepared for in the sky and on the ground. Due to many circumstances, including wonderful reserve life, I fell out of love with being a flight attendant very quickly. It was a hard thing to grapple with due to the fact that I had worked and trained so hard for this job. However, in a turn of events, I've actually been able to temporarily become a full-time artist. I've been on what's called R&R from flight attending, also known as rest and rejuvenation, meaning that while I still am employed, I'm not actively flying at the moment. I've been on R&R since October, and that means I was able to pour all my energy into my art business, Oakleaf Aero Studios. I started designing and releasing bookmarks, adding tote bags to my inventory, and took on many more map commissions for authors. I'm officially a published artist thanks to Olivia Marr's A Clash of Tides, and other books currently out are Sky Stitcher by A.C. Guess and In Solo by Tatum E. Carrington. Even though there are only 3 books currently published with my art, there are so many more to come and many more in the works. In fact, one of my maps will be in a book that's being traditionally published later this year, and it is still blowing my mind. You know what else is blowing my mind? The fact there are 20,000 of you here now. I've loved getting to share my adventures both in and out of the books with you all. Speaking of books, the last book I read was The Apothecary Diaries, Volume 2. The book I'm currently in the middle of is Golden Sun, and my next read will be Frieren Volume 12. My favorite book series is Forever and Always, Range's Apprentice, but here are a few of my other favorite books and series. My favorite manga now deserves its own mention because, well, Frieren, need I say more? Here's a peek at my bookshelves. They look the best they've ever been. The corner shelf is really pulling things together nicely, even if it's held up by tape and optimism. Here's what the rest of the library/studio looks like. I rearranged things so many times while being here, more times than I ever expected, that's for sure, but it just feels like a warm hug every time I step foot in here. This is a peek at my office packing area/bedroom? That statement is definitely followed by many question marks because honestly, this room is just another workspace that just so happens to have my bed in it. Can you tell I totally have my work-life balance sorted out? I live in a house with 2 roommates, Indigo and Greg, as well as 2 furry demons, I mean cats, named Bean and Sharon, who are determined to make my life difficult. I have 8 tattoos right now, but I feel like every other day I'm talking about what I want my next tattoo to be. I've got 3 tentatively planned, and once I survive tax season, I'm thinking I may need to treat myself to a new one. Here are a few of my current bops, and honestly the slow songs I can belt my little heart out to in the car have been hitting lately. I couldn't pick an absolute favorite because these two songs have been taking over my playlist equally. I do really miss my family in Texas, even though it seems I've visited them more this past year, living 1,180 miles away from them, versus when I lived 30 minutes down the road from them. I don't think I would have made it this far without their encouragement, and of course, frequent phone calls I make when I miss them or need advice. Nothing beats spending time with them, from go-karting and F1 race days with my dad, to Dancing with the Star binges and Universal Studio trips with my mom. I'm so thankful they've been as supportive as they are. I love you both so much and miss you equally so. Well, I tend to have a knack for making friends quite literally all over the globe. Making friends in Orlando has proven to be a bit of a challenge. While as a flight attendant, I never worked with the same crew twice, and now I work from home. But I believe fate brings me to people, and I just have to be patient. Elizabeth and I did become friends after training together. We were in the same class but different crews. I got her hooked on Ren fairs, and one of these days we'll go to Universal together, like we've been saying. 4 months. I also became friends with Carme, who I met while doing Taekwondo. Now, I know I said jiu-jitsu was going to be my sport, but after moving to Florida and testing out so many gyms, none of them had the energy I was looking for. On a whim, after watching a Michelle Khare video, I decided to give Taekwondo a try. When it comes to sports, I'm so easy to win over because I instantly loved it. I'm already a yellow belt with hopefully a green stripe test coming up soon. I also found a place to get back into playing volleyball, and that's been a blast as well. I'm always teamed up with such a mishmash of players that make each weekend a different experience, but fun all the same. Going into being 23, I want to of course travel more, continue to visit my friends, states, and continents away while making new friends during my travels. I also really want to focus on scaling my art business and making it the best version of itself it can be. I want to continue to make lifelong memories while also learning lifelong lessons from the hard moments. While this year has been so difficult, it's pushed me to go outside of my comfort zone, and for that, I am grateful. Anxiety and imposter syndrome are two things I certainly have, but if I let fear or discomfort hold me back, I would have missed the opportunities that life had brought my way. Here's to growing, changing, embracing life's every moments, and of course traveling. Here's to being 23.